I met Joe at a dinner. It was given by Michael Codron. He'd rung me and said that he'd put on the production of Entertaining Mr. Sloane, which I'd seen at Wyndham's. And Michael said this was the most singular new talent to come into the British theatre, and he thought I should meet him. He was then, Joe, engaged on writing the play Loot, which hadn't got a title. And it was, I think, about halfway completed. And Michael said he thought that I should meet him because there might be a very interesting part for me, and Joe liked my work. And I went along to meet him at Michael's house. He said to me, Michael, before the whole thing began, I warn you, we'll have to have the friend there. And I didn't realize the implications of this until I actually met Halliwell. And the conversation of Joe's was punctuated by interruptions from Kenneth Halliwell. He would say, Joe, oh yeah, we went to see this thing on Wednesday night, and then the other one, Halliwell would say, no, it wasn't Wednesday. How could it be Wednesday, Joe, when that was the time we were seeing, and then he mentioned something else. And so Joe said, oh, no, it wasn't, it was Tuesday, that's right, Tuesday. Yes, it was Tuesday. Yes, anyway, we went there Tuesday, got there about 7, and then Halliwell, no, it wasn't 7. How could it have been 7? We didn't leave the house. And I found this aggravating and extremely annoying. And I remember saying to Joe afterwards, at some juncture when we were alone, that endless correction, it's almost shrewish, wife-like business, must irk you. And he said, oh, no, it's all right, I'm quite used to it. No, it's all right. No, he's got a thing about accuracy. And that was true because the editing mind of Halliwell, which was very much in evidence when you came to things like rewrites, manifested itself in a very interesting way. I know on 2 different occasions, Joe would suggest a line and Halliwell would say, no, that's overlong, and condense it. Now, I saw that happen twice, and I thought, oh, yes, that is interesting. And it had always seemed to me that Halliwell was an influence in the work. They read the same things together, they enjoyed the same things together, they laughed a lot at the same things together. Joe was very funny. The Halliwell and his letter writing, which was the Edna Wellthorpe stuff, they both got a tremendous kick out of, and they were very funny, those letters. He wrote to the vicar and said, you know, can we have the church hall as Edna Wellthorpe, because he said they wanted to mount their controversial plea for homosexual tolerance entitled Nelson Was a Nance. And we know that the vicar would sometimes let the church hall for nothing in worthy causes. And they got her an irate letter back saying, on the contrary, I can't possibly permit the church hall to be used for that purpose, and I don't approve either of the lampooning of a national hero. And so they wrote again and said, oh, come, surely the church, of all people, should take a merciful view. Went on and on about, you know, everyone should be understanding about these queens. And then another letter came back saying, I'm sorry, no, I don't share your views. And then he wrote again as Mrs. Wellthorpe saying, doubtless you read of my daughter Edna's demise as she's passed away, and I found in a cupboard under the stairs a voluminous amount of correspondence dealing with her work with the Spectre amateur players, the Spectre group they were called, mounting her controversial play, Nelson Was a Nance, and could we have the church hall? And this went on and on again, and the vicar wrote back and said, no, he had not read of the demise, and he was very sorry to hear about Edna passing away, but he couldn't help feeling that she'd got in with the wrong set, which I thought was a riot. That was terribly funny. And they read these things back, and they kept carbons of their originals, and these all were read back, and they did the voices, you know, reading a bit, I don't agree at all, and they were doing all these acts, you see, and they were writing as though Edna Wellthorpe, oh, dear vicar, I feel, and of course you did laugh uproariously at it. They both fell about. They loved that kind of thing. All these sort of daft, mad dialogues were written, and they both got a tremendous kick out of it. And that's why I feel that the 2 of them were essentially sparking off things in each other in a very lively combination. People were emptying the auditorium all the time, you know, with that production, because we came under the watch committee in Manchester because we hadn't got the seal of the Lord Chamberlain, and we had policemen in the wings saying, if you say that line, the watch committee are banning that line, if you say that line, because the policeman had to say, where do you do it? Where the streets are well lit, there are no open spaces, where do you do it? 5 pregnancies in 1 week, where have you done it? And the boy had to say, on crowded dance floors during the rumba. And they said it was a definite aspersion and rudeness about the local dance halls. And they weren't having it in the script. And these policemen were there to drag us off if we said these lines.
I mean, I know from all my conversations with him that he deplored what he regarded as hypocritical nature of the established English view of homosexuality. Yes, he regarded that as totally hypocritical and maintained that they would turn a blind eye to all kinds of situations if it suited them. He thought that was evil. Ironically, of course, it is that very combination that does in turn destroy him, because there's no question about it. It is a homosexual entanglement that does destroy Joe. There's no question about that. I mean, Halliwell's jealousy, I mean, his letter at the end says the answer to this can be found in the diaries. And the diaries of Joe were entirely accounts of promiscuous sex, which Halliwell found a continual threat.
But the relationship, I mean, the whole thing about the relationship would seem that they're trying to escape convention, sexual stereotyping and so on. It's an irony that it comes back to that at the end, doesn't it?
Because no one can avoid it, I don't think. You see, it's all very well to say, as many homosexuals do, Joe among them, that they despise the husband and wife and the rut relationship of the breadwinner and the houseminder. And that's all very well, but the fact of the matter is that all relationships eventually go into that kind of groove, because you can't have two people going out all the time, otherwise there is nothing done.